Thank you. Awesome. Welcome, welcome. Good to be with you all. Mary
Oh,
Gugisberg. I am the owner and founder of MKG Parent Coach, partnered here with my friend Steve.
hey, Mary, how are you?
Oh, excited. I'm glad that we have connected and we get to share this message together. It's going to be great.
Yep, this should be good. I'm looking forward to it.
Excellent.
What I'm looking for.
And we are going to record today's session. So if you're like, oh my gosh, something in this really excited me, we're going to both share this in our own platforms. So we welcome you to revisit it or share with your others that you're like, I wish you would have been able to be with me. I learned all this. So yeah, so Steve, if you're ready, do you
Sure,
want to do an intro?
sure, thanks. So my background was or is 30 plus years in IT, and in there I had with my wife, we had two kids. Kind of helps, yes, having a wife. Okay, we had two kids, a boy and a girl. And the reason this topic is so important to me is I didn't know any of this information. So in my case, I ended up paying for my entire college tuition for both my son and my daughter. Very happy that I did that, but a very painful financial process. So that's why I'm here today. So thank you.
Bless you. Yeah. Yeah, so hopefully our message will help inspire some other parents as well.
Mhm.
We had a couple more join recently, so quick intro of me. My name is Mary Gugisberg, owner and founder of MKG Parent Coach. I'm not sure if you can see over my shoulder. I have a couple of kids also. One just graduated 2 Saturdays ago from college. The other one just finished her master's. And then you see a third person up there. That's my future son-in-law who is pursuing his MBA as we speak. So, um, why is this important for me? One is anytime I get to help a parent build their toolkit, that excites me. MKG, it stands for mindfulness, kindness, and gratitude, something we all crave in all relationships, yet especially in those parenting situations. And that's what I get to do every day.
Mm.
Um, so let's talk a little bit about what Steve and I are going to bring to you today. First is what are these 529s? What is it? The benefits, some misconceptions. How do you even start one? What are some alternatives? And that's going to be our dear friend Steve. And then I'm going to jump in and we're going to talk about emotional supports around this finances. And that in itself can be a challenge. So let's hit her, let's be on our way. It's
All
all you,
right.
my friend.
Thanks, Mary. So, one of the first things that we all face, those of us who have kids thinking about going into college, is how do you plan for college? And there's many, many things in there. I'll talk about some, Mary will talk about some. But from the financial perspective, the real question becomes who pays for this? Who decides on who pays for this? Now, sometimes the parents will pay, sometimes the students will pay, and sometimes there's free financial aid. Sometimes there's all three. How do we decide on this? Who decides who pays for college? And the answer is you do. As surprising as that may be, you decide because there are different things that we're going to talk about in a second that are out there that many parents are not aware of. That there are some costs that they're given, they have no choice, and there are some costs that they can adjust and deal with to make their out of pocket less. So let's take a quick look at what some of that strategies might look like. Now, the long term strategy for paying for college has multiple components. One of those components says, I need to grow my money but I need to grow it to the point that it's going to be there when I need it. Now, I also need to have that money growing at minimal to no risk, because the risk could be I invest in the wrong things. The risk is I invest and somebody else doesn't invest for me. The risk could be that I invest in the market and the market goes down, so the money's not there. What are those risks? There is no right or wrong. It's your appetite for that risk. You also want to know that I'm getting the biggest tax breaks for my money as it's growing. You also want to know that I have access to that money, because depending on what you invest in, you may or may not be able to access that money when you need it or at all, depending on what it's in. And then there's the financial aid impact. Depending on where you're putting that investment, it may impact in the wrong way the amount of financial aid that you are potentially capable of getting. So, how do we figure out some of those areas that come into play? There are three components of how much student aid you can get. Now, that first component says, what is the cost of attendance? The cost of attendance is what a school says to you that you owe, or potentially you owe, for your tuition, your fees, your room and board. You have zero say in what that cost is. Then there's the piece for student aid index, which used to be called expected family contribution. This is one of those amazing changes that they did this year. And I'm going to say amazing, and we're going to leave it alone. So if you then say cost of attendance from the school minus what you are told you can, or hopefully you can provide, equals the financial aid that you are potentially eligible for. So the goal would be, if you can reduce the amount that you are expected to provide, then that just means the financial aid is greater. So there's less out of your pocket potentially today and down the road. So that's really how that goes. So let's take a little closer look at how this works. Don't get caught up in the formula. What this comes down to is they're going to look at your income as a parent and your assets. They're going to look at the student's income and assets. And that's how they decide in their formula how much aid you're going to get. So whatever parent's available income is, that's multiplied by 20%. Now, whatever your contribution is from the assets you have, that's multiplied by 6%. Then there's the student income and student assets. We're going to focus for right now more on the parent side. So let's take a look at what that kind of entails. Parents' assets fall into two different categories. One is what I'm going to call includable, and one I'm going to call excludable. So the includable are what is included and reduce the potential to get financial aid. Assets such as what's in your checking, savings, and CDs, what's in your stock or mutual funds. And the challenge with this is, if the market goes really high when you apply for FAFSA, that's going to hurt you. By the same token, if it goes really low, it could hurt you. But then you have, how long is it going to take to get back your money because you just lost money in the market? Also, what's includable is money in a trust fund or assets in a trust fund. Also, money put away in a 529 is includable in your assets when it comes to FAFSA. Investment properties, and depending on the state you live in, your home could be included as an asset. On the excludable side, things that are not included in your application are money put in your retirement assets, such as your 401k, such as your IRA. Those are not included because the government says you really need to keep those for down the road. Also, money you put into an annuity, same reason. You're going to need it down the road. Don't include it. And also, we have a 529, which is an IRS tax code. Well, so is a 7702. It's a different type of vehicle that allows you to put money away and to use it as you want to use it, even if it's not for college. So now let's take a look a step further. Let's do a quick comparison of again, two IRS tax codes, the 529 and the 7702. So the first line, my mistake, it should say tax deferred, my mistake, not tax free. So a 529 is tax deferred, as is the 7702. That's great. Are you allowed tax free withdrawals? Well, on the 529, it really depends on how the funds are used. A 7702, yes, you can get tax free withdrawals. Is there market downside protection? Which means if you have an investment and the market goes down, will your money also go down, or is your money protected? 529, your money, your assets or investment will go down. A 7702 will not, which means you have more opportunity for your money to be there when you need it. Can it or must it be used for college? In a 529, it does not have to be, but if you don't use it for college, then it must go into a Roth IRA. The downside for that, what happens if there are limitations of your income? So if you have a certain income, you cannot use it. There's also a maximum amount you can fund it. But in the 7702, you don't have to use it for college, and there's no stipulations. Are there contribution limits? 529, yes, there are. 7702, no, there are not. Is it FAFSA friendly? Which means, does it impact your ability to get financial aid? A 529 depends on whose name it's in. The 7702, it doesn't matter. It is FAFSA friendly because it's not included. Do you need to qualify? A 529, no. A 7702, yes, you do. That's the downside. So the question really here is, would you be excited and want to know more and use a vehicle that grows tax deferred, tax-free withdrawals, has downside market protection, does not have to be used for college, does not have contribution limits, and is FAFSA friendly? That's the alternative that most people are not aware of because it's not advertised as much as a 529. So let's take a look at an example. So the example is two families that I have helped in the same state. So we're not going to go state to state and get into tax laws and all that stuff. These are two families in the same state. So one has a gross income of 185, one has a gross income of 191. One has assets to start the process at 190, the other one has 221. We're going to walk down an example of these two families and how they addressed the college financial planning process. The family on the left, family A, didn't want to know from anything. All they wanted to do was put money away in a 529. So they put money in $6,000 a year for 6 years. When they went to apply, their modified adjusted gross income was $185,000 at 20%. So they had to report $37,000. The family on the right had 191 to start income. They were able to deduct business expenses of $11,000. So their income was at 180 times 20%, is 36. So even though they had a higher income, they're really slightly less on the FAFSA form. The next major difference are assets.
Mm.
The family on the left, family A, started at 190, ended at 190. So at 6%, they reported $11,400. The family on the right took advantage of other IRS codes. So they put money into a 7702, 6 grand for 6 years. They put money into a 401k, 4 grand for 6 years. They put money into an annuity one time. So in the end, they started with $221,000 of assets, but they deducted the 36,000, the 24,000, and the 40,000. They reported 121,000 times the 6%. Their assets were $7,300. Now you can say, okay, big deal. It's $1,000 difference in income. It's $4,000 difference in assets. But what if you put more money away for longer periods of time? Now the difference becomes much, much greater. This is where the 7702 has many more advantages than the 529. That's what this was all about. 529 is a great plan. I will never tell you otherwise, but be aware there are options that are better for you from an asset wise and potential financial aid. What also happens to family B, they now have $100,000 put away for their retirement that family A did not.
Mm.
So that's this slide. So let's talk for a moment about how to maximize financial aid. Just a quick recap. Avoid saving money under a child's name unless it's excludable. Reduce your includable assets. Reallocate money to excludable assets. Start a business and reduce your modified adjusted gross income. You have to do this at least 2 tax years before you file the FAFSA because they will go back and look. File as early as you can because colleges have varying degrees of aid available. Always complete the FAFSA form. I told you up front, I did not do this. I paid for my kids' college out of my own pocket because I didn't know this. And also, the last thing I'm going to mention real quick, the new FAFSA guidelines in the process eliminates multi-child discount. That means if you have two kids in college at the same time and you qualify for $20,000 of aid, they will give you 20 for each child. The new process is you get $20,000 for the first child. Thank you very much. Have a great day. So it's important that you take the steps like I just showed you to maximize the aid. Otherwise, it's gone.
Wow, bless you.
Okay.
Lots of great information, and
Thank you.
we'll do questions at the end.
Mhm.
I hope you all have saw the irony of the today's date is 529, and that's the reason Steve and I picked doing a presentation on the 529s and financial education. So when we have these conversations, there can be a lot of emotions that surface. And just even talking about money, a lot of people get very tense, it's not a conversation that we just have like, hey, how was your day? Like, hey, how was your finances? What does your kid get for college? That kind of great conversations. So I like to when we have these conversations, I like to break this down. And remember, I said MKG is mindfulness, kindness, and gratitude. It's using this quick acronym RAIN. And what I want to just guide you through is what is this acronym and how can you use it for yourself, for your family? And yes, it goes beyond a conversation around finances. It's helping our kids and ourselves name every emotion. It's super important. So we start with recognize. First, we're going to recognize, what's present for me, for you in this moment. When Steve was walking through some of those slides, what bubbled up in you? Was your stomach getting tense? Oh, well, I hope you took time to notice that. What was the emotion? Did you name it? And just having that our recognition, just be in that recognition, acknowledge it. You don't want to change it. We just want to acknowledge. So R is recognition. Next, we'll analyze. Hmm, why are these feelings coming up? What triggered them? Is it because of when Steve said, "Oh my gosh, I had to pay for my college education, my kids' college education"? Oh, well, now I'm fear. Fear is coming up. Or is there a pattern? Is there every time someone brings up money, I experience this? It's just taking that moment.
Mhm.
Again, we're naming it. We're going to pause. No, next is inquire because we're going to just inquire with kindness. We're not going to judge. We're going to remove that. I want to use the word burden. We want to remove that um, criticism that we put on ourselves. Like, why am I feeling this way? Versus, why? What is stirring in me? And what's the underlying need? And we just want to embrace this nurture, inquire with curiosity, openness, and free of criticism, free of judgment. And then nurture this feeling. We just want to nurture. What kind of support or kindness do you need in this moment? And then offer that, bring that compassion in, bring that kindness in. Use maybe you maybe have a mantra or an affirmation. Hey, I'm doing my best at this moment. Or, hey, it's okay to be worried. It's okay to be jittery. It's okay to be fearful in this moment. And then when I coach my clients, I like them to just sit in this and then go, give yourself the same permission to feel, to nurture that you would give a dear friend. You're going to come alongside a friend and really nurture them. Well, why wouldn't I mirror that back to myself? So I invite you to take a screenshot of this. Those of you who maybe joined us a minute late, we are going to share our slides on our individual websites or in our own context. But let's also think of this RAIN acronym on how do we even have some of these conversations with our loved ones. So Steve, I'm going to invite you to share about this page.
Sure. Thanks, Mary. So these are some of the things to start to think about. Some of them may get you out of your comfort zone, but in a way, it's purposely done that way because if we don't start to think, we're going to get caught like I did, and I don't want you to get caught. So these questions are to jog you a little bit. Um, so, what are your biggest hopes and concerns when it comes to planning your child's future? There is no right or wrong answer, but what are your biggest hopes and concerns? And are you sharing that with both parents and the children? Kind of sort of sorry if I stepped on your toes, Mary, but um, how did you learn about managing finances and saving for the future needs? Have you learned? Let me even go that route. Have you learned about that? And what key lessons do you want to pass on to your children so they can be better? How do you approach financial planning with your family? Do you have strategies that you find more effective than others? Because what works for one family may not work for another, because again, every family is different. What challenges do you or have you faced in trying to secure your financial future? How do you address them? Again, every family is different, but do you plan? Um, how do you face those challenges? Or do you say, you know what, I can't handle it, and you push it to the side? But if you push it to the side, it's not really going to go away. So at some point, they have to be looked at and faced. And then more than anything, how do you involve your children when it comes to discussions? Because I know I was very fortunate. And again, every family is different, but I was very fortunate. My kids never really asked for major things. And I was very fortunate. Now, granted, my kids are in their 30s and times are different way back when, but if your kids start asking for things, there's the tendency to always say, okay, but how does that impact the daily, weekly, monthly future of your family financially? And that's something. So, how do you include your children in that so that they have realistic expectations?
Oh, thank you. And that leads perfect to the next slide. And I apologize. We should have said, take a screenshot of these, use them tonight in dinner conversations or different times. One thing I challenge you each with is when can you have these conversations? When is the moment that really you're like,
Mhm.
oh, everyone's in this comfort mode and this is a good time to talk about this? I think that's super important to, excuse me, I need to, there we go. Um, Super important to schedule those when everyone is in that moment of calm. Um, so here's some ideas for conversations with your kiddos. Um, and I'm going to invite the next couple of slides are going to talk about how to have these, how to show up when we have these conversations, but really come with that lens of curiosity. Hey, kiddo, what do you know about saving money? Do you have any thoughts? What do you think? Is this important? Isn't it important? And it just, again, that lens of openness, not where did you learn that versus, oh, that's an interesting perspective.
Mhm.
I really like the next question. If you could choose any career or study, any subject, what would it be and why? This is graduation season, right? And kiddos are graduating high school, and that typical question is, hey, you're going to college. What field are you going into? What do you want to do? Well, at 18, 17, 18, 19, did you know what you wanted to do? And how many of us on this call today have had multiple career turns so that at 18, I love that people ask that question. It shows they care about you, the kiddo, and what their future is. That adds a lot of pressure. So we want to just explore with them. What excites you? And if your kiddo's interested in an occupation that you're in the back of your mind, like you're like, oh my gosh, they're forever going to be on the mom and dad payroll, don't say that. We want to just explore with them. What excites you about that? And how can I accompany you? How can I help you explore this? How do you feel about planning for your future? Maybe it's your education, maybe it's a dream job. Are they like, ugh, Mom, you've always said money is I have to have a lot of money because, or are they like super excited to be, I can't wait to make my mark on the world. And we want to just embrace both, embrace what's coming up for them. And we're going to talk about how to embrace those. Um, what are your dreams? Ask your kiddo, what are your dreams for your future? Do you think there's an education need to support that? Again, I'm rephrasing the questions that are right there. You can use the ones I have written, or please put it in your how you would talk about. Um, and then what are some ways that, and this is that encouragement, bringing the whole family in. What are some ways you think we can save together as a family? And how could you help with that? Now, you bring that question to your 10-year-old, and your 10-year-old might be like, I'm too young to get a job. Because you remember they're really concrete thinkers. It's black and white.
Mhm.
Maybe it's the opportunity to say, yeah, I'm not expecting you to get a job, but what are some things we can do in our home that will help us? We all want to make a trip to Disney someday. All right, what can we do to help mom and dad save? And it could be, here's an idea. Shutting the refrigerator while you're pouring the milk on your cereal in the morning is going to do better for our energy bill, or turning off lights. I'm just throwing ideas. We really want to empower our kiddos to come up with those answers, but we might have to plant the seed to get them started because they might literally go down. You mean I have to start mowing lawns and contributing to the family? And maybe some families need that. I can't speak for your family, but we really want to help them just help our kiddos see the world broader. So I love this approach, and I learned this from it was from Children's Screen Time Action Network, and these are words from kiddos. When I'm having a conversation with my caregiver, this is how I want them to react. And so it's listen with care, respond with love. And what do I mean by that? So, care is bringing curiosity into each conversation. It's that opportunity to really explore, bring a lens of wonder, maybe is a good word to use as well. So, have that genuine interest. View anytime you get to be with your kiddo as an opportunity to step into their world. And some questions might be like, hey, what are things you think are most important that our family could save for? And why? Because a kiddo might be like, yeah, I really love this sports team and I really want to be able to go to a season game, not in our city. I want to be able to go and see them in another city. Okay, great. It helps you learn so much more about your kiddo and their dreams. So the A is an open mind. So first was curiosity, then an open mind. Sorry, I have a pet who suddenly is thinking they need to hear. Just one moment. Can't mute myself. Here we go.
All right. So while we're taking a temporary break, um,
I'm back.
okay, perfect.
You might still hear him, but I had to shut my door. Sorry about that, friends. So first was curiosity and open mind. And that's that opportunity to show up with that non-judgmental atmosphere, appearance, so that we really get to listen without critique and introduce phrases like, tell me more. Wow, that's so interesting. I'm eager to hear this through your lens, eager to learn from you, which leads really well into that respect. Honor your kiddo's experience as valid
Mhm.
and shows that appreciation. So it might mean using some words of affirmation like, I really value you, your thoughts, your input on this. And then linking it to what we're talking about today is what's one thing you wish we'd spend more money on and why? Mom, I really wish we could have Dairy Queen every single night. Okay, well, let's talk further about that. And then you can bring in all kinds of other conversations. Um, and empathy. Empathy, remember, I like to use the definition empathy is feeling with, contrast to sympathy is I feel bad for you. Empathy draws people together and sympathy puts up a wall. Sympathy is like, oh, well, it's your thing to figure out. Where really, as a parent coach, I really encourage how are we coming together? And when we talk about this empathy, it's what what appeals? What are things that really speak to you for your educational goal? And then seeing it from your kiddo standpoint. And I like to use phrases like, wow, this sounds really exciting right now, or wow, this sounds really frustrating to you. Let's unpack it together. Or maybe even, how does it feel to you when we talk about saving money or having a family budget? Do you have issues? Do you have ideas or concerns that we can help? It's creating that family mantra, even that could be like, hey, money doesn't grow on trees. And we're here to walk together in how we can plan appropriately. I also, when I talk about listen with care, I like to remind caregivers that we listen to understand, not to respond, not to fix. We're going to listen to understand, listen with care. And then I'm going to respond with love. And the love, of course, has another acronym, and it's love is we're going to ask a lot of questions. It's bringing that lens of curiosity again, creating that discovery together and understanding. So when we ask our questions, we want to ask those open-ended questions instead of, why don't you want to talk about going to college? Hey, what careers excite you? What are your dreams for the future? And how do you think we can start preparing for that at any age? Bringing in that optimistic lens. So that O is optimism. It's maintain that hopeful look, seeing the good in the situation, reinforce positive expectations. When I coach parents, I like to remind them, what are your kiddos' expectations? And are they aware of them? Because you know what? Our loved ones live into the expectations when they know them. No one can read someone's mind. And when we know what's expected of us, our kids live into those. And we want to reinforce those positive expectations with maybe a sentence like, "Hey, I'm confident. I am confident that we can find balance that works for everyone." And last is engage. We're going to demonstrate that commitment from both parties' sides of you. We're going to have encouraging conversations like, "Hey, I really value your ideas. How do you think we can walk through this together?" So we're going to listen with care, respond with love. I think it's an easy pause, easy way to live into this. So this has been a lot of information. Whew. Let's look forward. Remember, I invited you. What are times that you can have these conversations? So there was a lot of great stuff shared. Steve, you opened my eyes, and yes, we use the 529s, and I wish I would have known about the other alternatives. But you know, life is just like that. It's always a learning. So parents who are on the call, feel free. Did you write on your notes? I think we can have this conversation. Kids are getting out of school, maybe yours are already out, or when can we have this conversation? And when we have these conversations, it's when everyone is in that comfortable situation. It's that opportunity. Hey, we just watched this movie and they were talking about it, or my cousins just went to college. We should probably have these conversations. Use that as your launch.
So, what are your next steps? What's something that you can do even this week to start that process to not only for the college planning goals, but also as Mary went through what I think is amazing. I learned so much. Thank you. But what are you not just planning financially, but how are you planning to speak with, not to, but with your kids to get them involved in the process? Because it's not an us and them, it's a we. That decision to go to college is a joint decision. I will tell you, and I know Mary and I did not talk about this, but I'm going to put something in here real quick. I took the 6 year route to get my 4 year degree. That's a true story. So if that's the case, I did not have those conversations with my parents as far as what do I want to do or what did I want to do? What's the cost? Those conversations did not exist. And therefore I was lost, went too long, cost too much money. So again, learn from my mistakes. And also, what are some realistic expectations for you, your partner, the kids? Um, what can you set up that is achievable? We've all heard of those SMART goals, but what's achievable that you can do together to help for the future?
Beautiful. And a reminder, you're not in this alone. I like to say kids don't come with instructions, yet support is available. I love that you're here. You're building your toolkit with us. And here's some ways that you can find me and Steve and just book a call. We're available
Mhm.
to accompany you.
Yeah. Are there any questions, thoughts that we can answer while we're all still together? Okay. We know there are people out there.
Yeah, I also sometimes like to ask, what's been your greatest takeaway?
right.
what's one nugget that you got from this? Because if one person jots it in the chat, or you're welcome to come off
Mhm.
microphone, use your microphone too, and just share with us. One another person might be like, oh, I didn't even think about it that way. So feel free.
We didn't tell you that you are not allowed to leave the call unless somebody asks a question. We didn't tell you that, did we?
I do have to say, Steve, your examples were great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
They
you. Well,
helped me.
same with you. I
Yeah.
learned a lot. I really did. So thank you for that.
Yeah. And conversation starters or just practicing that listening with care, responding with love, I think that applies in all relationships. Yes, we use it as the example with parent to child, but you know what? I'm going to use that with you. I'm going to use it with my partner. I'm going to use it with my friends. It is, I like to, when I practice good listening, I always am like, what am I listening for?
Hmm.
As a parent, am I listening to hear my kid make a mistake, or am I listening to hear my kiddo and celebrate them? So we were giving you some moments if you have questions. I'm just filling space too, but oh, yay, here we go. Thank you for presentation. My daughter is 10. Oh, yes, friend. And I realized that it's not too early to start to prepare. Bless you. Thank you. That's a really excellent point. And then remember, welcome jumping into a call with each of us to really direct that specific, how do I set up a 529? Or no, I want to do the 7702 or whatever other alternatives. Steve is here. If you're like, wow, 10, they used to like to snuggle, but now I get a door slam. That's when it's great to reach out to me because I am available to help support that as well.
So I will tell you that door slam is not limited to 10 years old. So
What?
we'll just leave that alone for now. Okay.
Yeah, I like to remind parents that we still have temper tantrums too.
Yes,
Yes.
we do. Okay.
Yes. Bless you. Oh, thank you. Start early. Yes. Great info. Thanks for sharing. Start early. Bless you. Thank you.
All
Yeah.
right.
So, like we said, our recording, Steve and I each will have it stored. You have our emails, you have our contact info on here. Obviously, you can welcome to give us a jingle. That's my cell.
Mhm.
You can text, call. I'm trusting you're the exact same way.
Yes, I
Message
am.
and
Perfect.
support.
We're good.
Really, support is
All
available.
right.
You're not meant to parent alone. You're not meant to walk through this alone. We're made to be in communities. So use the resources because we're here.
All right.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you. Best to you all. And
Yep.
we will hopefully see you again in the future.
Yep. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.